Hi all, welcome back. Today we have another blank page in front of us. I am hoping to do a pretty short and simple project this time, maybe just 1 or 2 sessions long. So hopefully something pretty short for you this time. It is a problem that I think happens in a lot of workplaces. I have an Excel file here, obviously not a real one, but you have some information, name, username, code. There might be other kind of columns with information, but somebody's job is to just try and collate it. So for example, we want to send out a few emails to these usernames. Somebody needs to do the painful task of saying, hey, Andy, you know what, maybe, yeah, hey, Andy, thanks for registering. Your username is indestructible. Your code is this thing. Please register at or please that's probably it. Your friendly Google team. Somebody needs to do this, and there has to be a way to automate it. Now, there's definitely better ways, but I just want to build a quick website where we can upload an Excel file and it kind of pastes the text out for you. So you can copy and paste it into the various emails. Now, again, if you are able to just move this straight into Outlook or Gmail, it would be much faster, but one step at a time. So let's get started. I have a handy JS fiddle online, and you can go right here, and I might leave the link in a pop-up later. But it's just a blank template that imports Vue, jQuery, and Bootstrap, just to get those out of the way. We probably don't need Vue here. We may need jQuery. I like Bootstrap, so let's keep it like this for now. It's just a template to get started. I will try and keep this updated, but I know already that this is not up to date, these links. So we don't need the latest and greatest here. Something else I found useful is Is it SheetJS? Yes. Let's open up the demo page as well. So SheetJS allows you to open and read and output Excel files. If you were doing this purely on a programming basis, everybody you know is pretty technical. CSVs are the easiest file format to work with back and forth. Excel files aren't great, but that's what dominates the workplace. So I'm going to try and use this. We'll import. Well, I use different CDNs every time, so let's go with this one. So over here, we're importing SheetJS for Excel. Okay. So right now we should see nothing on the page. What I'm hoping to do is I'm hoping to have something similar to this one, where we can choose a file, pick the Excel file. It kind of reads the table, and I'm not sure how I want the formatting to look, but at the end, we print out a list of these. So one for Andy, one for Bob, one for Kathy, maybe in different cards, maybe separated somehow, but basically a way for you to upload the Excel file onto the page, or have the page read the Excel file and then output this text somewhere down here so you can kind of copy and paste into the emails. So hopefully super simple. I will always as a rule run into problems, and then in the end I will walk through the code. So something that I haven't done on screen in a while is actually do source control. So git. I am just going to initialize this. Okay, and blank template. So I have to make a better habit of doing this on screen as well. So we should probably, we can probably ignore that. So that is the demo Excel file I have open. Anyways, sound off, and I will hopefully get this done fairly quickly. Okay, so we have our simple one-page app. Unfortunately, we lost just a tiny bit of the footage for polishing, but that's not too important. Let me just refresh and show you how it looks. First of all, we have kind of cheesy instructions. Format it how you want. You might want to put your name on it or wherever. We have a box for you to drag your Excel file into. And finally, we have our results. These aren't, as you can tell, like we haven't gone nuts over the UI. It's pretty clean. It's usable. That's really all I'm going for. So I fiddled a little bit to make sure the margins look okay, but other than that, it's all about functionality. So remember, we have our file, our demo file, and what's really important is that this is the format: name, username, code. If somebody starts moving these columns around, it's not going to look right. And we can always adjust the code for it. So, for example, I'm doing this potentially in my workplace. So, somebody might add a column with date and time, or I don't know, country, or something entirely unpredictable. So what's nice is that the way we've done it here, we're using the column name to call it out. So as long as nobody removes it, but as long as nobody removes these headers, name, username, and code, they should be able to add additional columns. But if somebody changes name into first name and last name, you'll have to adjust this code accordingly. Now, to continue our demo here, all we're doing is drag and drop. There's nothing afterwards, and it's a really fast, simple kind of work. So it had three rows. You got 3 different cards with the right information. And that's all there is to it. You refresh and then you go again. And keep in mind, actually, I think it might be a better design choice to just drag and drop into this box instead. Maybe I'll fix that later, but let's finish this demo first. We drag and drop into a box. You get this. Nice and simple. There's no submit button or anything, and I was thinking about looking at their live demo. They have this kind of option. You have the drag a file here box, and then you also have the classic file picker, but nobody wants to use a file picker nowadays, so I will keep it this way. Now, onto the code. We have our header with a variety of imports. So, of course, we needed SheetJS. That opens, converts the Excel file. We have jQuery, which we use to quickly append different pieces and create different elements and select different elements. You can definitely do this with plain JavaScript and cut down on jQuery. I don't know how much time they'll actually save. This is not a large web page anyways. Bootstrap, just so that we have these fancy card classes and names and columns and widths. I don't even think we really need this Bootstrap bundle, but I am not going to tempt fate by deleting it. I don't think we have any interactive Bootstrap elements, so we probably don't need that. Now, we have a container, and the container is this big box over here. That covers everything else, and then we have 2 rows, one for the header, and that's just a simple title, and then the next row contains all of these cards, the instructions, the results, the drag box. But once we get into this section, even though it's one row, we've broken that row into 2 separate columns, one for this instructions column, and then one that is much longer with the results. So we have this column and this column, the result column. Now, let's look at the narrow column first. We have 2 rows that corresponds with these 2 cards, and each row has a card. Here we have a simple card with a card body with a header class instructions, and then a couple paragraphs. Step 1, 2, and 3. The other card, we change the background a little bit. We have 2 handlers. So we have an on drop and an on drag over. So it seems like it's good practice to override the on drag over class. So all this handler is doing is preventing default. I don't know what behavior normally a web page would have. So like this copy, I think the idea is that way you don't keep downloading things if we paste it into it. So that's useful. And then the other handler is on drop. So that's where all of our logic is. I'll come back to it in a moment. But that, of course, takes the file, churns out all of the results. And of course, the body is just more instructions. Drag your Excel file into this box. The next column, we have a placeholder. So normally we have this kind of placeholder that just has some text. Your results will display here. We've also named this column so that we can very easily get rid of this result and then append additional cards once we, do the dragging into. So this column is named, and then we just append a card, append a card, append a card afterwards. Now, onto the big piece, the drop handler here. So first of all, we did this useful thing, which is to prevent the default piece. So normally if I drag it into a page, it downloads a file. That's Chrome. I don't know what Firefox and Safari does. It might do the same thing, but instead it is accepting the file. Okay, so we have an event. We get the data transfer and the files. So here, how they've coded it, and you'll remember that the Mozilla site had a different approach. They just said, either you give us the file, or if you dragged a whole bunch of files, just the first file. So that is different from how this Mozilla code handled it. I think they get each file one at a time and just cycle through all of them if you drag a whole list in. We do a file reader, and then we read the result. So they take in and create this workbook file. In case you're not all that familiar with Excel, most people just use Excel here, but you can actually create multiple worksheets. So here we look at the first worksheet. I'm assuming that's what my coworkers will be doing. They'll only be using the one sheet. We get that worksheet out, we convert it into a JSON object, and once we have that object, we remove the placeholder, and then we loop through the JSON object. So for each row, basically, the object has a name, username, code as keys, and they will output these items accordingly. So we have name, JSON file, we have the key, which is first the row, so row 2, row 3, row 4, and then we do the second key, which is a name or username and code. And so we get these variables. I have this separate, but we have a literal text, and so we insert the name, username, and code accordingly. This is super lame text, but that's just a placeholder. And finally, we create a card. So we get div element, we add a class, we append another div element with these classes that has inside it another div element with class. So basically a card that looks kind of like this, with finally the text as HTML. And so once we build this card, in jQuery, we just append it to the result column, and then what you get, are these individual cards. So one at a time for each column, basically, for each row in the Excel file minus the header, it will output a different card. Super simple, right? And then I kept the console log, so I don't think that's necessary, but there it is. Something that I assure you will encounter in any office type of work, because somebody in an administrative role would very much appreciate something simple like this. And kind of next steps would be to tie this directly into into Outlook or Gmail somehow. And so I'm not taking that step because there's just so many passwords, keys, and the complexity just goes up. But that was super fun. That took probably 45-50 minutes in total. And I am actually quite amazed. I've never done this drag and drop thing before, so I am very much amused by this, and I think there's a lot of ways we can build different things. So I have wanted to build a Kindle converter for quite a while, and I think this kind of code will come in handy. Anyways, that's it. This was a pretty quick video, and stay tuned next time. Thanks for watching.